How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees. If you are new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe to the video on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. We got you guys covered on the daily with updated Yankees content regarding pregame shows, postgame shows, analysis, and much more, so you can keep up to date with all the top prospects and how this team is performing on an everyday basis. And obviously, we have a game tonight, so we got you guys covered on the pregame show against the Philadelphia Phillies, and they're kind of going with this bullpen game-ish sequence. It's kind of strange. Matt Strahm is the guy they have on the mound tonight, who's kind of a bullpen arm turned spot starter, seemingly. We're going to break it down for you guys. We've got Domingo Germán on the bump for us. Obviously, a player we are very familiar with. We'll break down his game, kind of how he performed during spring training. The lineup, which is very interesting. I know you guys are going to be a little bit confused about why we have Aaron Hicks and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa starting in the outfield tonight. But end of the day, the Phillies are struggling considerably. They're kind of going with the bullpen game. And we have a good chance to win this while resting some of our more prominent players. So I think that that's kind of the narrative I'm going to go with. But we'll break it down for you guys, our thoughts and opinions. And obviously, always happy to hear your perspectives down below in the YouTube comments, where we love to have good conversations. So appreciate that, as always. Ryan, before we dive into it, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. The Yankees, I think, are in a position today where, you win the game today, you win the series. And, I think on the S broadcast, they've mentioned this before. We've talked about this before. Anyone who's covered baseball has talked about this. You go into a series, you just go in there to win the series. If you win the series every time, if you win the majority of series you play this year, you're going to make the postseason. And to kind of tie it to the comments you made about Hicks and IKF earlier, this team, and I don't mean this to sound cocky, I don't mean this to, ignore the variance that exists in baseball. This team would have to do a lot of really bad things to not make the postseason this year. The American League is not necessarily stacked. It's very top heavy. You have the Yankees, you have the Astros. I feel like the Tampa Bay Rays are a team that gets left out of that elite conversation, but they certainly have the pitching to do it. But there's a lot of question marks with a lot of teams in the American League. In the AL Central, we know that those teams usually aren't as strong as the West or East. The Mariners, Angels, we don't really know exactly what they are. Are they World Series contenders? Are they playoff teams? What are they? And the Blue Jays pitching has been awful to start off the year. Not to make small sample size conclusions, but pitching has been an issue for them for a while. So this certainly isn't encouraging for them. The Yankees are going to make the postseason in all likelihood. You just care that you win, that you make the postseason and that you're healthy. And IKF and Hicks have to prove something, right? We talked about this, before we recorded today, or at some point in the afternoon, where Harrison Bader is coming back, and he's going to force one of these two to not play nearly as much as they're playing right now. We saw Aaron Hicks not play the first 3 games of the year. Aaron Boone mentioned that he was going to try to get Hicks in against lefties. This is the first lefty starting pitcher the Yankees have faced all year. The Yankees are really trying here. They're really trying to find a spot for Hicks or a role for Hicks on this team. And people may not like that, but the Yankees they're gonna try. They gotta try. At this point, you are in the regular season. He's still on the roster. You're gonna give it a shot. If he sucks, if he's not good in April, then we can have different conversations. When Bader comes back, he's still a couple of weeks away. We can definitely revisit the outfield roles. But there's a reason why IKF moved to the outfield, and I don't think it's just because he knew he was gonna lose the shortstop job. I think it's because he knew there was playing time up for grabs there. And all IKF wants to do is find time to play. We've talked about Aaron Hicks' comments. I think that I don't have to get into, whether it was problematic or not. I think most Yankee fans have the consensus opinion that it wasn't the smartest thing to say. But looking at this lineup, Higashioka, Donaldson, Hicks, IKF, those are kind of the 4 guys that get highlighted as, the not good hitters in this lineup. With the exception of IKF, those 3 of those 4 guys have pretty good numbers against left-handed pitching, or at least they hit the ball pretty hard against left-handed pitching. And against Matthew Strahm, who's going to be on a 65 pitch count, you feel like if you can chase him pretty early, you can get to that bullpen. We've seen the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen. It's not impressive. It hasn't been impressive. It's never really been a strength of theirs. And you feel like if you have the patient hitters, you have the guys that are going to lay off of pitches out of the zone. They have nasty stuff, but they don't really know how to command it. So I feel confident that at least Aaron Hicks is going to take pitches. I feel confident that IKF can force contact and kind of put pressure on a Phillies defense that we saw is not very good yesterday. I feel confident Donaldson can maybe run into one, and same thing with Higashioka. I feel like they're putting these guys in good positions to succeed, which I'll take. And early in the season, that's all you really care about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so looking at Strahm, you kind of broke down the fact that this Phillies bullpen is bad, but Strahm is not very good himself. He pitched a career-high 114 innings back in 2019 with only 44.2 innings last year, suggesting that he's more of a bullpen arm. So, the Yankees beat up on the bullpen yesterday. We're going to see a lot of those guys today. So if you're into betting and you're into sports betting, I would certainly suggest going heavy on the Yankees side. They're definitely going to take advantage of that for the most part. This is a player in Strahm that gave up 3.43 3 walks per 9 last year. He's going to walk a lot of batters. He struck out 10.5 per 9, but the Yankees have been pretty disciplined the last couple of days, so I feel good about that. He's had some issues giving up home runs, like kind of in the past. Doesn't give up many ground balls, so he's a fly ball kind of pitcher. The Yankees should torture him. Like, I would not be surprised if he got knocked out by the third inning, if we're being honest here. And that's why the Yankees are like, we can roll out Aaron Hicks and IKF and give our guys rest, give Stanton rest in the outfield. Have him kind of take a day off, and then you obviously have Judge, who's DHing today. So overall, I kind of feel like this is a good scenario for the Yankees in terms of the reason why they are being a little bit more conservative with their lineup. So I do feel strong about this. I don't think it matters that much that they are not running out, the best lineup of the year. Rather, Stanton is playing the right field today. Apologies about that. So he's the only guy playing, but Judge are giving a day off, DHing, and very right-handed hitting lineup. And Strom obviously being a lefty makes a lot of sense. So you see the matchups there. They're obviously playing the number game. But I'll tell you what, let's take a look at some offensive players who I think could have pretty good solid games today. So of course, the easy ones are Judge, right? Judge is the easy one, but I'm going to go out and say I think IKF is a good game today. I think he finally starts to get on base a little bit. He was making some decent contact a couple days ago, but he had that game the other day where he was just, 2 days ago, where he was just, he was making contact. It was just weak contact, and it wasn't really going anywhere. I think this player specifically against Strom in the bullpen, I think he gets on base a couple times, has a couple hits, and, boosts his value a little bit. And I think that's kind of what we're going for here is IKF boosting his value a little bit. Hicks, I think if he can't hit today, it's going to be bad, man. He's going to hear the boo birds very early and very often. He's got to hit today against these pitchers because they're not good, and he has a lot of advantage over them. He's a lefty, rather a switch hitter, so he's going to bat lefty. He's got to really take advantage of this poor Phillies bullpen, and if he doesn't, we're going to hear the boos, and the situation is just going to increasingly get worse and worse and worse. So who do you think kind of stands out today? I'm going to go with IKF having a pretty good game.
Yeah, my pick, I'm going to go with Josh Donaldson. Josh Donaldson carried over from pretty hot spring training, and while his start to the year hasn't been excellent, he has, his last start, I believe, was against, or not his last start, excuse me, when he hit that home run against Taylor Rogers, that ball was kind of crushed. He's been crushing some balls in spring training, so against lefties in his career, he's excellent. I feel like, as you mentioned, with Strom being a fly ball pitcher, you feel pretty strong about the idea that a right-handed hitter like Josh Donaldson, who hits lefties well or sees lefties well, should perform better. Now, Strom does have reverse splits, but they're pretty even, so you could chalk it up to some sort of, maybe some variance here or there. But I think it's Josh Donaldson. You touched on this with Hicks. I wanted to say Hicks is someone that, I could see some positive signs for today. But I'm just going to leave it up to an X factor, right? He knows. I think everyone on planet Earth that has ever watched the New York Yankees or knows who Aaron Hicks is, knows that these next couple of weeks are huge for Aaron Hicks. Are the Yankees going to DFA Aaron Hicks if he goes 0 for 4 today? No. It's not just a one-game thing. If he finishes the month of April and he's a below-average hitter, and well below average, I'm not talking 95 WRC plus, because 95 WRC plus, you'll take it from your fourth outfielder. But if he really struggles this month, we're going to have questions about whether he's going to be on this team going forward. We saw Cordero contribute positively yesterday. As you mentioned with IKF, IKF at least I know can play center field. The Yankees don't seem to like playing Aaron Hicks in center field, and for good reasons. His defensive metrics have regressed there. And end of the day, I don't want to. I want to kind of throw out a little bit of a life raft here for him because I do think Hicks is a better matchup against left-handed pitching than he is against right-handed pitching, but he's going to have to prove it. So I'm going to pick Donaldson for the big game. I think Hicks is the X factor. And, end of the day, I guess the one thing we're overlooking here is the pitching side of things with the Yankees, because Strom, you imagine, is going to lead the game early. As you mentioned, he walks guys. I mentioned he's on a pitch count that doesn't really bleed well or that doesn't really mesh well together typically. If you walk a lot of guys and if you get a lot of strikeouts, you're going to throw a lot of pitches. I don't imagine Strom gets past the fourth inning. So, you're going to be able to tack onto that bullpen. And you actually have a starting pitcher who can get through the fifth inning in Herman, right? And Herman's velocity, that'll play a factor in today. We saw earlier in the spring his velocity was up. Other times it was down. When his velocity is up, his stuff is up, he's going to be really good because when his stuff plus is up 10 points in spring training than what it was in the regular season. And that stuff usually sticks in the regular season. So, end of the day, the Yankees have, as mentioned, the Yankees have every clear advantage here. I think they have the lineup to do it. I think they have the pitcher on the mound to do it. I think they have the bullpen to do it. Their bullpen's pretty rested. I don't really see, not that I don't see a reason they can lose this game because it's baseball. One game out of 162, anything can happen. But you have to feel good about your chances coming into today. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel pretty strongly that we're going to emerge victorious in this one. We have the offense, Domingo Herman, obviously a primary starter, whereas Matt Strom is not. So I think that I feel confident. I think that the top half of the order is still relatively the same. And I think that Anthony Volpe has a good game today. I think he steals another bag. I think he walks once, maybe gets a hit. I'd love to see him get his first homer of the season. That would be awesome. But definitely excited for this one. Yankees starting the season strong with a 3-1 record. Hopefully they can continue to compound on that success and pick up their fourth win of the season, and really moving their lineup around every day. It's different every single day, and they're still winning games, putting a ton of runs on the board. I think 37 runs against the Phillies their first 4 games of the season, so they're certainly struggling, and this is a chance for the Yankees to capitalize and put another one in the W column. But my friends, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. Drop your score predictions below. As always, appreciate the love and support, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.